Hello and welcome to my channel. This will be my first knife episode for the year 2018, and I'd like it to be a bit more special. Special in a way that I am bringing to you a knife that has gained notoriety or has caused buzz among the knife enthusiasts. This knife is not that expensive. I mean, it's just an ordinary knife that has been in the center of a controversy. To start off, this knife was originally made, if I'm not mistaken, by Zero Tolerance. Zero Tolerance was responsible for bringing a design called the ZT 0777. That's the Zero Tolerance design. And it was somehow, it's very close to this, because this one is not Zero Tolerance. This is a wild boar, Chinese, of the ZT 0777. Now, that original design was made by Zero Tolerance. Now, along came Marfione, Anthony Marfione of Microtech. Now, if you can look at the design of this one and this one, the outline is more or less similar. Maybe just a few notches here and there, but the overall outline of the knife is more or less similar. Now, original design by Zero Tolerance, ZT 0777. Then came Anthony Marfione copying the 0700 and naming it the Microtech Matrix. Now, everyone was pissed off. I mean, it was a clear rip-off. Anthony Marfione was somehow crucified because it was a clear rip-off of the Zero Tolerance 0777. And if you can check it, it's probably the same outline, although the sheep's foot is, this is the sheep's foot, this is a modified sheep's foot. The original Microtech Matrix was kind of like a drop point, but the whole aesthetics and the whole aspect or the whole outline of the knife was clearly has clearly something to do with the ZT 0777 by design. Lots of people were pissed off about that because they say that the Anthony Marfione was just copying. Well, here comes another guy, and that will be Kershaw. Kershaw, maybe just to piss off ZT 0777 and the Marfione Matrix, Kershaw released a very similar knife to this and called it Natrix. So 0777 Matrix, and then another knife, Natrix. My point here is, you do not know who's who in copying when you say that that's a copy of the knife, this is an original. Well, the guys in the 16th century, they probably don't have folding knives, but you know, a knife is a knife. And I guess anyone can build a knife because they've probably been recycled from ideas that were already present centuries ago. I mean, I don't know when folding knives came about, but you know, let's just say 18th century, they were already folding knives, and maybe 19th century, but you can never be sure that you say that's a rip-off, a clear copy. It may be inspired, it may have the same resemblance, but come on, a knife is a knife. So what I'm trying to say is, it's okay. It's a free country, and they're just doing and everything comes back into the original maker. Just because of this blunder, now you're more familiar with who's who and who made the original design, and that will be Zero Tolerance with the ZT777, and this would be a copy of that, which is a 0777 by Wild Boar. And then Marfione copied the 0777 by Zero Tolerance and made his Matrix. And this Chinese guy, which is the topic of this knife review for this episode, is the copy of the Anthony Marfione Matrix, which is also a Wild Boar knife, also called the Matrix. But what this knife has is that impeccable detail in the blade. I would say that this knife is one of my more favorite knife in my collection. In my entire collection, if I was to have a top 5, which gave me an idea, I'd probably need to do that. Between all the knives, the flippers, the balisongs, the everything, karambits, that would be a hard thing to do. But this guy is probably inside that top 5. And would you have that nerve to call that this guy is a ripoff of a ripoff? Because the original, supposedly original maker for the Matrix already ripped off that knife, and this guy ripped off the guy that was ripping off that guy. So you get my point. Knife designs are always recycled. Yes, you can go through all the hassle of suing people because that's copyright infringement, but if you're not such an a-hole, it's all good sport, in my humble opinion. Anyways, knife designers would beg to differ. I'm not a knife designer, so yeah, let them do their opinion of that. But this guy, with that logo, that's the Marfione logo. And maybe that's just the feeling of Zero Tolerance when Anthony Marfione ripped off the Matrix design, and when maybe Anthony Marfione sees this knife, he would be as pissed as Zero Tolerance when they were ripped off by him when he made the Matrix and this knife came out. And then fast forward, like I was saying, there's another knife by the same, more or less the same outline, and it's called the Natrix by Kershaw. It's a more lower end knife. It doesn't have the titanium scales, it just has the plastic or the G10 scales, and it's a very basic knife that very much looks like that. This one has carbon fiber and black titanium coating, so it's got a little bit more of a premium feel as compared to the Kershaw Natrix. I don't have that, so I just based that on the pictures that I saw. Anyways, back to this knife. The Wild Boar Matrix. Most probably a design copy from Anthony Marfione's Matrix. Everything about this knife is really nice. That centering is impeccable. If you can see the anodization of the blue there inside, it's very deep blue, and I like that. The blue on here is a little bit faded, so there's two-tone, lighter blue and darker blue inside. The lock up on this, pretty good. I mean, I really like that lockup. Plus there's a hardened metal insert that goes in contact with this D2 steel blade, carbon steel blade. The pocket clip rides in your pocket like a champ. It is a deep carry pocket clip, and you can barely see that knife when it's holsters inside your pocket. Lanyard hole, just in case you would like to put a paracord lanyard in there. The firing of this knife is a little bit weird. You need to have a flick on your wrist, or just make sure you do not impede on the travel of this lock bar here, because when you open it, when your fingers are just a little bit in there touching that lock bar, it's gonna exert pressure on there. So you need to be clear of that lock bar and make sure you give this flipper tab a little bit force, and it's gonna go fly out. Not very strong, even though the detent on this one is a little bit, not really on the strong side, but the smoothness of this one is really smooth. Full bearings inside. Like that lockup. A really nice knife, if I may say so. Look at that, it's a koi pattern in there. That's for both sides. This knife has been discontinued. I got this around 2014. I don't even know the exact name of the knife. The seller and where I got this, they just made it, the name that they gave this was very generic. 100% Wild Boar D2 Strider knife. So Strider has always been in collaboration at some point with Marfione, but if you can check out that logo, that's the Marfione logo. The Strider logo is different, so I'd say that this is if you do your research, this would be where Marfione, this is more inspired by Anthony Marfione than Strider. So how heavy is this guy? Folded, you have 8.4 ounces, 0.52 pounds, 239 grams, 0.239 kilograms, and 8.4 ounces. A bit heavy for the folding knife category EDC, but 8.4 ounces for full titanium. This is TC4 titanium, both sides of the scale. D2 carbon steel on the blade, and 420 stainless steel on the screws. This is a premium Chinese made matrix. Let's just quickly check the length. If you can check that out. I'd say that's 9 inches. 5 inches blade area, it would be a 3.75 inches. From pivot to the tip, it would be at 4.25 inches. Handle length would be at 5 inches. I guess the last thing to check on this knife would be how sharp this knife can cut. This is a pretty thick paper. You know, it's one of those Christmas deal papers that you can get in magazine or a magazine stock, glossy stock paper. And there's an angle here somewhere, so let's find a new one. It's biting it really fast. You see, there's angles. It's just on how the angles it's falling. But overall, I'd say that this knife is pretty sharp. Anything else to do? I've weighed it. I've measured how long it is. I gave you the history of the knife, and I gave you a cutting test. My impressions mostly on how this knife is for me. I'm sure this is not a very common knife that you find in most collections. Number one, because it is a copy, and even the Microtech, the original Microtech Matrix, does not have that engraving in there.